Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the Addendum series. This series of videos is going to highlight some of the things that I've promised to show in previous videos, new discoveries that just came about, things that landed in our lap, and things that I found, books that I found that I wasn't able to show previously, documents that I found just scrambling around in my totes. And I will be assisted by my longtime friend and colleague, Paul SCHAFFRANKE. I've got several takes of him and myself discussing issues that came about. And there's going to be some fun stuff there too. Life on the frontier of Nevermore. Life on the range. Some fun things. So this series is going to jump all around. It's not got any set formula to it. And I hope you enjoy it. It's proving to be fun to do. There's going to be some new knowledge in there for you. Yes, indeed. And I've got a lot of things happening. Okay, I'm here with my longtime friend Paul because his girlfriend Sally has run him out of town. And when he gets hit with a hurricane, he takes refuge up here in Illinois. And he had seen my video concerning the Glen Canyon and the quote-unquote Egyptian city, which nobody really knows. We don't know if it's Egyptian or not. And as far as I know, I am the first person on record to ever detail that it had to be in the Marble Gorge or the Marble Canyon. Can you remember anybody else that came up with that before me? But yeah, I'm the first person I know of that ever knew that said,
well, you had all the topographical maps laid out and all that, and you pointed it right there.
And like these place name books and some stuff that my father had. And then I'm going to be showing this book here. It's got some really wild caves in it and stuff. It's an excellent Glen Canyon book. And but I want to take your attention to when I showed you this book here that's going to be featured. That you coming up? That there is a dwelling in here which I will detail that is way up high on the cliff. And I showed you that. And it's a head scratcher.
More than a head scratcher. It's like I can't figure that out.
So anyway, that particular ruin, ancient ruin, is right up in the side of the cliff, but it's about 500 feet, at least 500 feet above the river. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
And
it doesn't make sense of any human, even an inception of. Okay, I'm going up 500 feet up in a cliff, and I decide I want to build a dwelling there. That just doesn't make sense.
Oh, how do you survey it in the first place? Let's see. I think I want to live on that cliff wall, 600 or 700 feet, 500 feet above the level of the river.
Yeah.
And okay, well, is that a good spot to raise your family? I mean, it's a sheer cliff. I mean, it's just, you have the ruins, but we don't know what's inside those ruins. We can tell that they're kind of like, looks like doors. They look like doors to me.
Well, I don't know what the inside looks like. Is it just a room, or is there like a whole complex inside, and these are just two windows?
And it's talking about granaries.
Well,
granaries. Did they haul their grain up ladders? And they still had wooden bridges that connected the canyons that they say in the books. We don't have any pictures of them.
No.
But I got a couple of books that talk about them.
But then we asked, like, where did the wood come from?
Yeah, where did the wood come from, and how did they get the wood? And even the guys in the book, they say that none of it makes any sense.
No, it doesn't.
And so it's a head scratcher. It's a head scratcher. Why in the world? And then what would they eat up there? Let me guess. They had fishing poles that with 500 feet of line that they cast down into the Colorado River, and they'd bait their hooks, and then they'd wind them up when they got a bite. Can you imagine catching a bite from 500 feet away off a cliff? Is that what they did? And then what happened? Where would they use the bathroom?
Well, that they just stay in those dwellings 24/7 and have delivery, like DoorDash, you know, coming and delivering your food. And
Domino's Pizza comes in on a drone. Oh, here's your pizza.
I mean, that would, I mean, if they had that kind of technology, it would make sense, but, no, it's, yeah, I think going to the bathroom, that's another thing.
Are we even sure that they were humans?
Well, that's what I'm questioning.
Or some type of some type of human, because we're seeing, like in this book here, the graveyard of star childs that they found, people with oblong, wide-angle heads.
Yeah.
And then this book here, I'm seriously thinking about featuring this book here, which is just awesome. I mean, these we show here of skulls of people that it ain't right. This is, and
No.
these are not artificially
No.
made. I mean, they're. I don't buy that. In the books, they say, "Oh, this is artificially." Well, how come there's just a few of them?
Yeah.
I mean, out of the hundreds and hundreds, there are dozens and dozens of these people, and even in the pictures. I mean, this book actually has the real picture, the real deal. This is the real deal, and just dozens and dozens, too many to actually scan and show. But I'm going to be showing several of them, and that's Dickinson Mounds, which is in the heart of Illinois here. Oh, maybe 100 miles, 150 miles north, 200 miles north.
But you've had a book about from Missouri that a bunch of star children.
Yeah, that's this book.
You've had that book many years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the thing. And Lloyd Pye, for those that know him, he actually visited my house in 2004 and brought the replica of the skull and laid it on my kitchen table.
And it looked like these, didn't it?
And he was making like it was something extremely unique. And I remember you showed me one of these books, and I said, well, that looks just exact. We have a whole graveyard in Missouri of these, people, whatever they were.
So what was the big deal?
So what was the big deal? Yeah, exactly. That's why it's like, so they found that one in Mexico. Well, we got a whole graveyard in Missouri, and obviously there's other sites with them where you have entire tribes that were like that had that type of a skull.
And I show in my Egyptian video, or Cultures in Conflict, Egyptian City in Grand Canyon, that Marble Gorge is 60 miles long, and there's evidently just dwellings all through it. And according to these books, that is true. I mean, just huge cave. They said that they found cave after cave. And one of the trail books just takes you right down to it, right down to several.
And they're all like 500 feet high, and all these dwellings.
Or more. The main one was supposed to be 1,400 feet. And I guess you had to go on the other side and then cross over a bridge.
That's why I'm thinking that the geography had to have been different when they built that, and what we have today is just a result of a cataclysm. I don't know. There's no way anybody would have even built anything the way it is like today. There's much better places to go and live than building.
Yeah, and then they're talking about the fortifications, that these were fortifications in one of these books. Well,
why?
Why?
I mean, if you have anybody invading or attacking, you just throw rocks down the cliff at them. You don't need fortifications.
Or just push their ladder.
Push their ladder, right?
And that the one ruin that we have pictures of, actual photos of, from it's in the Marble Gorge too.
Right.
And it's just a straight sheer drop off. How would they do that without? How would they grab the rocks and move the rocks just to even place them there? It's a head scratcher. It's a head scratcher. I'm going to begin this segment using another one of my father's books. It was published in 1983, Reader's Digest edition, Corridors of Time. And this is all about the Grand Canyon. All about it. And it's done by Ron Redford here. And panoramic photography and text. The pictures in here are just absolutely fantastic. And for back in the early 80s, this is probably the best published color pictures of the scenery in the Grand Canyon. Several of the pages fold out into 4-page spreads that are panoramic views that are just absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. And if ever you see this book in a used bookstore, pick it up, take it home. You will love it. And then we're going to look at page 157 here. And this is the rooms here that Paul and I were scratching our heads concerning. And it's like 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms way above the river. And some of these walls here in the Marble Canyon are like 2,000 feet tall. I can't remember exactly. I read how tall they were. One of the ancient city they found was supposed to be like 1,400 feet above the river. And you can see right here, there is no front patio, anything here to stand. There's no way to get from here to here without risking your life or to get up to it. Look how high it is. This is at least 500-600 feet, could be more. Could be more. Down here in the basin, you can see where plots of land are. These are where they grew vegetables and different items for edibles. And this is just a fantastic. How in the world did they even survey that? How did they get there to even see? Well, yeah, let's build some rooms here. So how in the world did they get there to survey? How did they build this stuff up here on this sheer rock cliff? And this is loose rubble here. And now let's scroll down to the caption. I'm going to call that word Nankoweap in Marble Canyon, an ancient dwelling and storehouse set high above the Colorado River and Nankoweap Rapids. It was occupied by Anasazi Indians during the 12th and 13th centuries, which that's questionable. Then, like thousands of other ruins all over the southwestern United States, it was abandoned. Well, if it was abandoned, that means that they left it. Well, if they left it, where did they go? Where did they go? If everybody abandoned all of these ruins, thousands of ruins abandoned, tell me where they went. The Anasazi were small and extremely nimble, as is attested by the lofty perch of this dwelling and the small size of its rooms. And it's number 35 in the map that I'm going to show you. Number 35. And something else that perplexes me concerning this picture is, how did Redford even get the picture of it? Was he flying along in a helicopter? They didn't have drones back in the mid-80s, early 80s. How did he get that picture? Page 158, talking about ruins. There are many ruins, such as that on Great Thumb Mesa, characterized by tower-like fortifications. Excuse me, tower-like fortifications? But although they look warlike, their true purpose is not known and probably was not defense, because there's just no way an army could invade them. There's just no way. The best known are those at Nankoweap Creek in Marble Canyon, about 52 miles below Lee's Ferry. See the pictures there that we show. At the confluence of the Little Colorado. Some dwellings were built on or near the farm sites, and their ruins can be plainly seen today. Others were built high above the river, under overhanging cliffs. Such cliff dwellings were also used as granaries to store surplus food for use in the wintertime, and are often difficult to locate because they are naturally camouflaged. So what are we saying there? Used as granaries high above the river? So they grew their vegetables and grains down close to the bottom, the base of the canyon, and then how did they get them up to the granaries? Did they backpack them? Did they have ropes with big baskets on them and pull them up? You got me. That's a scratcher. Access to them is nearly always difficult or hazardous, I'd say. Occasionally, get this, a wooden pole bridge, such as that near President Harding Rapid in Marble Canyon, can be seen joining two precarious ledges high above the river. They also were built by ancient Indians for reasons that are not always clear. So they built bridges hundreds and hundreds of feet above the river. How? Okay, this is a layout showing the Glen Canyon Dam here, which I'm going to be going into Glen Canyon and Lake Powell here a little bit. Here's Lee's Ferry, and this right here begins the Marble Canyon. 52 miles from Lee's Ferry is that right there. That's 35. That was the ruin that we were just looking at. Number 35. There it is. So you can get some kind of perspective on it's going to be on the west side of the canyon, which means that the picture we saw, Redford is actually standing north of what he's taking the picture of. very interesting head scratcher. Doesn't make any sense. There is so much stuff that just doesn't make any sense. My next featured book is Time and the River Flowing, Glen Canyon, by this handsome fellow here. It was first published in 1964. My copy is from 1968. And there's an beautiful aerial shot of the Glen Canyon. And this was put out by the Sierra Club. See up here? And the Sierra Club knew that the Army Corps of Engineers or whatever had plans to do to the Glen Canyon what they had done to Glen Canyon. And when they made Lake Powell, it was just an absolute disaster. Absolute environmental disaster. And they were doing everything they could to keep it from happening in the Glen Canyon. I'll jump over to page 47 here. And this is in the Marble Gorge. Marble Canyon, Marble Gorge, same thing. And you see this huge cave. Quite stately. It's just huge. It's probably, well, let's scroll down and you can see how high up it is from the surface of the river here. And you see by these plants, that's probably about 60, 70 feet, maybe 60, or I don't know. But you get the idea here, this is probably over 100 feet. And this right here is probably several hundred feet along this way. Huge. Beautiful. We're going to jump over to page 50. I'm going to read it here. Pick it up. At the foot of the left wall, there appeared a low cave, the height of its mouth about a third of the width. We had been noticing caves all day, and if this one in particular caught our attention, it was at first only because of its situation right at the water's edge and the graceful shape of the entrance arch. But as we approached the Susie 2, which is the little catamaran boat, ahead of us seemed to shrink before our eyes. The mouth of the cave yawned wider and wider and higher until, landing at the great sweep of beach beneath it, we took measure of its real immensity. This was Red Wall Cavern, described by Powell as a vast semicircular chamber which, if utilized for a theater, would give sitting room to 50,000 people. He was exaggerating, but not by very much. 100 yards wide, 50 yards deep, and 30 yards high was my guess as we walked into its cool shade. That's pretty big. Pretty doggone big. Our next book is Glen Canyon Place Names. First published in 1960. This copy comes from 1980. I picked it up when I was living in Arizona back in the late 90s by this handsome fellow here, Bird H. Granger. It's got conquistadors and pioneers, and it shows some places in the Glen Canyon there, in the back there. And it is exactly what it is, the Glen Canyon Place Names. And this begins, we will show you here, where Grandview Caves. These caves were discovered in 1897 by Joseph Gildner, who was camp cook for the Canyon Copper Company. The first cave is over 300 feet long and varies in height from 10 to 85 feet. The second cave is the same length but higher. I wonder how much higher. And here you have Horseshoe Mesa Cave. By decision of the U.S. Geographic Board on Names in 1937, the caves on the Grandview Trail were designated Horseshoe Mesa Caves. They are on the west side of Horseshoe Mesa. So you can kind of see how they're starting to change some of these names, these place names. And it's very interesting when you go through the book and you start looking at it real close. Now we're going to jump over to page 17. Marble Gorge. John Wesley Powell, on August 9, 1869, wrote that his exploring party passed between cliffs of marble in which were a great number of caves, eroded on a grand scale. Still page 17. He named the gorge Marble Canyon, noting that the walls towered hundreds of feet in the air, rising at least to 3,500 feet at the canyon's lower end. The distance through this canyon measured nearly 61 miles, during which the party ran through a rapid per mile. The men made 4 portages with their boats using ropes through extremely swift currents and whirlpools. So at the south end of Marble Canyon, the walls on each side of the canyon rise 3,500 feet. So if you apply that same analogy to the other pictures, it's probably at least 2,000 feet high, at least. I decided to bring up a couple of more issues concerning the Grand Canyon and discoveries made in, and also Glen Canyon. Glen Canyon was filled in with Lake Powell, which Glen Canyon could actually be called the north part, an entire north section of the Grand Canyon. And what they did was they just put a dam there and let the water come up. And now all these ruins that they found in Glen Canyon are under 600 feet of water. Well, the thing was in Glen Canyon, before they built the dam, there were over 3,000 ancient ruins in that canyon. And now you'd have to be a deep sea diver to get to them. Now we're going to start looking some more at Glen Canyon. This is a book published in 2009 written by this lady right here. It's called Resurrection. Beautiful picture. The photography in this book is just absolutely unsurpassed. And it's all about how they're trying to resurrect Glen Canyon, how they're trying their best to make it back beautiful again, and with Lake Powell. It is just an absolute cluster. It is a cluster what happened at Glen Canyon. And we're going to look at one passage here. This comes from page 6. Right here. Glen Canyon harbored more prehistoric Native American archaeological sites than almost anywhere else in the American Southwest. Nearly 3,000 were found during a hurried 1950s pre-dam survey. Just to let you know that I wasn't making it up. It's 3,000 sites, and we're going to look at a couple of them. Our next book is also concerning Glen Canyon, and it is also published in 2009. And I'm showing you this picture here because you get some idea of how the land down inside the basin or down inside the bottom of the canyon, how there is a lot of what could be farmland or a lot of vegetation down in some of these sandbars or pier, whatever you want to call them. And this book here is called Ghosts of Glen Canyon. Beautiful book. Another beautiful book. Amazing pictures in here. Just beautiful. This is the front cover here. Just absolutely gorgeous. And we're going to pick up with the ruin on page 19 in the introduction. There's a typical ruin. Nothing spectacular, but to get some idea of thousands of these, I'm sure that many were like this. It could have been a storeroom, could have been an overnight stay place. Who knows? Who knows? This comes from page 1, some of the petroglyphs down in Glen Canyon. And I just find it amazing how so many of these creatures have antennae coming out of the tops of their heads. Yeah, you got me. Is that some kind of suit, some kind of uniform? Whatever. Whatever. Some of these are pretty tall. And here are two side-by-side petroglyphs. And what in the world are these? I have no idea. You got the design here. And why did somebody peck this into a stone? They thought it was so important that they wanted to share it for times begotten. This almost looks like a head here and a head there with arms up or something, and with something going in between them. There is a lot of similarities to these. They both have a base. They both have circular design, and then they have the same type of motif at the top. Why in the world would somebody carve something like that? It means something, but I would not have a clue. I would not have a clue as to what that would mean. Now, this is interesting. You see a guy sitting up here, but our attention is taken to these footholds right here that come down off of this ledge. Evidently, it was too much trouble to just climb up the ledge there. So they carved out these footholds and handholds to make it easier, like steps. And just think of how much time it would take to do that, just to travel a few feet to get higher. There's some more over here. Here's some more of these footholds. And I'm just going to start at the top of this picture and scroll down. They got a couple of ropes here. And this is most likely very, very modern. But they carved these footholds and handholds straight up the cliff. How would they do that in the first place? How would they get a grip? How would they balance themselves enough to chip it out with some kind of stone or some kind of tool? What did they use? What did they use? And judging by the size of the man here, see, look at hand-pecked steps and a rope left dangling. Well, that man there, that's got to be at least like, what, 25, 30 feet high, climbing up a sheer cliff. Now, this is what they call a wasp house. Let's see if it's down there. Yeah, wasp house, a prehistoric masonry structure located in Lake Canyon. And it was a popular tourist attraction during the years before the dam. Before they dammed it up. It's pretty large, too. That is not a subtle mistake. That is somebody building themselves a house, or a group of people building. One person, it's not like today, one person can build themselves a house. This had to have group effort. It's fine masonry. Fine masonry. I mean, just all kinds of. But hey, let's look at some of the inside of it here. This is the roof. It's got beams, cross beams, and it's covered with reeds. Overlaid by intersecting layers of poles and willows. That appears to me to be pretty doggone sophisticated for back then, and you got me. But it's all when they dammed it up. Glen Canyon went at its height, I think, 590 feet or so. Now they're dropping it down. They're trying their best to save what is left of the canyon. And it's not working out very well at all. Now we're looking at another petroglyph from Glen Canyon before it was flooded. This comes from page 96. And I really like this one. It's got 3 characters in it. And it's a scene. All 3 of them have swords. And they all 3 have shields as well. Well, where does that come from? Excuse me, but I wasn't aware that the American Southwest warriors had shields and swords. But look at their stance here. Their legs spread wide. They're there to get a grip. They're there to battle away. And this fella here is 4 feet high. And these 2 guys here look a little bit broader and taller than he is. Let's just show you the caption down here. The Defiance House, pictograph panel. Defiance House. That is a scene, and it's obvious these guys are fighting with weapons and shields. Very interesting. Very interesting. Now this is Fort Moquai. This comes from page 107, and this was a place that was frequented by tourists. And here it's about 12 to 14 feet high right in here, and probably 18 to 20 feet around the base. Big square ledge, a lot of blocks down here in the ruin spot, but this right here was definitely covered over when they flooded Lake Powell. And this right here is perplexing. It's what they call, let me scroll it up a little bit, a nearly life-size petroglyph of a horse. Well, when was that done? Was that done in modern times? Would that be done after the Spanish conquest? I would suspect so. But remember that there was the American imperial horse, which was the largest of all the horses. But that's got to be, somebody had taken the time to do this, I believe, after the Spanish conquest. Now I'm going back to make another addendum to my Glen Canyon video of 2014. In 2014, I documented for you, or showed you, this massive ruin at Chavez Pass, south of the meteor crater in Arizona. And I couldn't find my own measurements and documents that I made, my field notes. I couldn't find them, but I have found them, and now I'm going to share them with you. You can make side-by-side comparisons between what I show in that video and what we have now, what I did by myself in 2 weeks' time, as opposed to a couple of college crews that worked, I think, 3 summers in a row. Check me out. I'm now going to do a reprise on the huge ancient settlement at Chavez Pass. This is up on top of one of the buttes there. You see Pueblo 1 here, and Pueblo 2 is right here. And I'm just showing you this now so that you can get a little more familiar with what I did. I completely missed these 2 reservoirs. I completely missed that. I caught this this nook in here, and I didn't have as many rooms up here as they had. And I didn't catch this right here at all. That completely. But I thought that this in here was a plaza because I didn't catch that. And they're calling this the Great Plaza, which I did catch that reservoir there. And I figured that that reservoir is where they just piled snow in the wintertime. And they're calling this Great Plaza. I called this the Great Plaza, but they labeled it a cemetery. I didn't know. Now, wherever you see the word midden, all that means is it's just tons and tons of crushed pottery. Tons and tons of crushed pottery. Now, I caught this. I caught this. And I caught this right. You're gonna. I didn't get it as detailed as they did, but I got the 2 spaces here, and all along this bluff here was all petroglyphs. And to give you some idea, now this is 660 feet above sea level, and this is 500 feet. And if we look at the graduation here of 80 feet here, so you can see that from about 100 feet here, or 100, just over 110 feet. The contour drops 100 feet. So what I'm saying is that this is very, very steep. And I caught some things in here that they didn't. And you can see the stairway and the spring complex, which I did get a couple of these, but I didn't continue on down. And here they got these and this. Massive, massive cattle tank down here. And you can see here, 0 to 80 feet. Massive ruin. Now I'm going to pick up on my notes. Now, in 2014, I could not find these notes, but then I found them in a folder just a couple of years ago. And you'll see I caught all this over here, right here, and right here, and right here, and all of these right in here. And like this right here, I didn't catch that thing in the middle. And let's look at a blow-up of it. Massive ruins, and I wasn't sure how to label the walls. So where I've got 2 or 3 or 6 here, that could be twice, 3 times as many. Who knows? But up here, along this right here, it was the ridge, the top of the ridge. Here's another blow up. Show you some more of my notes. When I first started taking notes, when I first started realizing, hey, this is a massive, massive ruin, went back to my truck and grabbed some stuff and just started taking notes. I was excited. And here's a shot of the second Pueblo, Pueblo number 2. And you see I got these 2 rooms here correct. And I got all these rooms here correct. And the thing about these is, these rooms were all constructed with huge boulders. I mean, a lot of these rooms, you see how wide I've got them? Each square is 10 feet. 10 feet is right there. Okay, so this right here is 10, 20, 30, 40. This is a 40-foot square right here. And all of these, you see how thick the walls are. I tried to get that right because a lot of the boulders constructed were half the size of a Volkswagen Beetle. I mean, just huge. Huge. Half the size of a small car. Here I'm showing this area right here again, along here. Need data. Need data on this line here. These aren't in any particular order. I just took them out as I could. But you can see that I've got some of these rooms over 10 feet square. Here's another line. I've got street right here. Need angle of West Street. So I even documented streets or major walkways. I don't think there was no traffic up here at 6600 ASL. Now, the Chavez Mountain, which is across the Chavez Pass on the other side of this, that goes up another 300 feet. That one is, now, even here at 6,600 feet, many times that I was here, I was looking down at the clouds, which is really cool. When you're up on an ancient ruin and you see the clouds like several hundred feet below you and you can't see the desert floor, that's pretty unique. That's a very special moment. Here's one of my first notes. Second Knoll Street, 88 paces to main big great house and top of plaza. Plaza. And here again, I'm going to show you the scholastic over. Now, again, once I had done my measurements and done my survey, I knew there had to be something. So when I went to the University of Arizona there in Tucson, the library, I said there's got to be something on this ruin at Chavez Pass. But there's still two ruins at Chavez Pass that, as far as I know, have not been documented. That's Chavez Mountain itself, and a huge ruin, probably the size of this one right here alone, or take your pick, on the way, about halfway to this ruin here, down the road that goes to Chavez Pass. This is an amazing ruin. I would encourage anyone, if you're at the meteor crater and you want to see a really nice ancient ruin that's massive, that will never be publicized. You're never going to have a concession stand here, but the Stairway and Spring Complex, you park down here, and here's the trail that goes up right here. And that's how you continue up. It's not a rough climb. It's okay for, I would say, anyone 60 years and younger, you would have no problem with it. It's not a challenge. It's not a challenge to see this site, but well worth it. Now I want to show you a little bit more concerning my favorite ruin, Chavez Pass, and how to get there if you want to see it, and some other things that I think are of importance, and some things that need to be checked out. Okay, this is I-40 right here, and this is the meteor crater here. Now, to see this, you have to go, the meteor crater is like 5 miles off of the interstate, but you can see it for miles. And once you come out of Winslow, you can see this thing for miles coming either direction. And if you haven't ever been to the meteor crater, it's a fascinating natural site. Absolutely fascinating. And you want to report here, and you don't want to have anything in your vehicle that looks like a shovel, a pick, or any kind of digging implement. All you want is a camera, maybe a notepad, a compass, things of that nature, and let them know that you're not there to pick up any. You don't want to pick up any meteors. You don't want to pick up any pottery. You don't want it to be caught with anything on you. Trust me. And Chavez Pass Road comes down this way. It's straight, and as you're going down the road, you're actually going uphill, and there's several different demarcations of vegetation as you go this way here, and it's like 22 miles till you get to Chavez Pass right here. Now, this is Chavez Pass. Over here on this side is the Chavez Pass ruins, and right here is Chavez Mountain. And right down here is Chevelon Butte, which is another massive, massive ancient ruin. And I had that as 18 miles, but I believe it's more like 15 or 16. And this right here would be 22, 23-ish miles, I believe, is what I had. So I'm going to show these a little bit closer up, and then we're going to look at these two creatures right here. Now, when we get to Chavez Pass, there's my bubble. Right in this area here is where all of these massive, massive ruins are. But you can't really see it that well. Okay? You can't see. And if you're going out here to do some exploring, look for petroglyphs and petrographs. They're everywhere. Once you start seeing them and you know what to look for, they're hidden behind trees, they're on flat rocks, they're just fascinating, and there's thousands and thousands of them that have not been recorded and that never will be recorded. And that's what we're going to get into here. But this area here is just littered with massive ancient ruins. Now this right here is the western portion of Chavez Mountain. This is the area here that you have to climb, that you have to go through. It's like 1,000 feet from where you park. And it's pretty good navigable desert. But this is Chavez Mountain right here. The Chavez Pass Road separates this butte here and this butte here. This is a picture showing more Chavez Mountain, okay? And that is probably 1,200 feet just to get to it. And then you have to climb the sheer walls, which are like, 200 feet or so, I guess. 150, 250 feet. But it is navigable. And when I was up there in early ’99, I had my cat with me, and she made the trip up here with me. But this is the top of it here that you can see, the top of the butte. And then you see that it's all here. And the graduation here is 1,000, so that right there would probably be just over a mile. And that right there probably about 3,500 feet. All right, now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow this up, let you look at it a little bit closer. And I was up here, and I saw ruins. I saw ruins everywhere, in through here, and through here. I didn't go all the way to the other side. I just went to this northern section here and right in here. But I would be willing to bet right here is just another massive ancient ruin. You see it right there? Just massive. And no one is ever going to, I believe, document this because it's just too hard to get to. They haven't been documented as far as I know. They're hard to get to, and it's just time consuming to get there. You're looking at oh gosh, half an hour or 45 minutes just to get here from the meteor crater, and then another 30 minutes, and then another hour just to get up here. And you're not going to have much time unless you're like in the summertime or spring where you have more daylight. So you have to plan this out if you want to go check this out. You want to do your own exploring and have your own adventure, because these are off the beaten path, and as far as I know, they are never going to be publicized because they don't fit the mold of everything else. But anyway, this is, I think, just delicious and ripe for some new discoveries. Take a camera, take some videos of it. Take a long tape measure. That is just absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm going to show you Chevelon Butte. Now, this is the one that's like 16 miles from Chavez Pass, Chavez Mountain. Now, right in this area here is a massive, massive ruin. And it looks like it's probably about 3,000 feet across. I'm going to blow it up so that you can see that even though there is a massive ruin there, you can't really tell by looking at Google Maps. You can't. And that's open to the public. Like I say, don't go in there with a I don't know what four-wheeler or quad side-by rules and regulations are, but this was not too far from the highway. Highway 99 here, okay? Yeah, and it looks like you got roads here. Some of this could probably be traversed in a Jeep, but that is a massive ruin. I have never been here. Never been there. I would love to go someday. That would be on my bucket list. All right, now, we're going to go back up to this picture here. And you see this highway coming down through here, and you see this, and you see this. And here is Chavez Pass Road coming in through there. And it's going to be about 2.5 miles from this way. And you see that this highway here, which is, I believe, what is that highway? 89? 87. Highway 87. Now, what gets me is that these two buttes, if you want to call them buttes, are just ripe for discovery. Ripe. I mean, I don't think anybody has ever documented what's on them before, Again, you may have some problems getting there. It may take you a trip or two to get there. But all of this area here, the petrified forest, is beautiful. And the way to catch that is in early November, late October, after a morning rain, and the sun comes out, just brings all the colors out in the petrified forest, in the painted desert. And there's other things to see and do in Flagstaff that are just wonderful. But these two right here, they need to be checked out. Right here, this part right here, I'm going to blow it up, is just screaming for someone to do some not excavation, but some documentation right along in here. And you know, there's a trail here. There's trails all around there. I guess they're four-wheeler trails. You can check. And when you go to the meteor crater, you want to report to them and tell them where you're going. Just tell them, I want to take pictures of petroglyphs and see what's out here. And they're going to want to see your car. They're going to make sure that you've got water, gas, a spare tire, and to make sure that you don't have any shovels. And if they ask to look in your trunk, they're looking for shovels and a spare tire. Go ahead and show them. And then when you come out, make sure you tell them that if you're not out by 6 o'clock or whatever, that just to let them know that you're out here. And because if you break an ankle or you fall off and you break your neck or whatever, and you're by yourself, you're gonna die, because ain't nobody gonna come look for you unless you let them know. But that right there is just screaming for someone to give it a going over. Look at that right there. That right there looks like a ruin to me. Looks like a huge ruin, 500 feet across, at least 500 feet across. And you see there's other trails on top of here. Somebody's been here. But you don't want to disturb the pottery. There's going to be little flecks of meteorites all through this area. All right, and I did not take any, even though I would have liked to. I did not. It's illegal to do. But look at this right here. These are just beautiful. And they're screaming for someone to check them out. That almost looks like an anteater's head, doesn't it? But this is some rough territory. And you might can get there with a small motorcycle. Somebody have to do some homework to find out if you can get a quad up through there. Somebody's on something right here, a Jeep. Now, we're going to go to the other side of Highway 87 here. Here's the other one. Give you some more orientation here. This is Highway 87, Meteor Crater, Chavez Pass, Chevlon, and here are these two right here that need to be checked out. Look at that. I'm going to blow it up. Still has some trails around it. I'm just curious. What is out here that we don't know about? And some of the locals, man, if you're not looking for these ruins or you're not looking for petroglyphs, you're not going to see them. You're not going to say, oh, there's a pile of rocks over here. There's a pile of rocks. And there's going to be reservoirs. There's going to be all kinds of human activity everywhere. And I'm just saying that these are so close to the big ones like Chavez Pass and Chevlon Butte. Now, I want to also point out that Yellow Jacket Ruin is also a huge, huge grasshopper ruin. There's some really big ones out here, all through upper New Mexico. There's just huge ancient ruins, but these haven't been documented. There's no commercialization. There's no bathroom. There's no water fountain. There's no escalator, and there never will be. And what is amazing mostly to me concerning Chavez Pass is that the stones, the size of the stones that are used right here are just huge. How did these people who were small, how did they pick these stones up that weigh 2 or 3 tons and put them in place on a wall? The walls are like 3 feet thick. How did they place them up? How did they pack them and mortar them in? It's just amazing. And I wish I'd had more time out there, because I would have spent more time here on Chavez Mountain. I'm screaming that right there and that right there. I know there's all kinds of ruins and rooms right in here, and there's pit houses everywhere too. There's even pit houses across the way down here on this little knoll here. There's all kinds of pit houses right there. Boom. Some of these need to be checked out. So if you have an adventure in store, or you want to have an adventure, there's plenty of it here for anyone to have. I encourage it. Take some pictures, make some videos. I've got other people going to other sites that I've recommended, and this is big time. Check them out. And also, even though Chavez Mountain would be hard to get to, it's going to be worth it. Whoever gets up there, it is going to be worth it. You're going to have a blast. So just showing you a little bit more concerning some of my adventures and wanting to share adventure with you.
Right, feed the fish.
Oh, okay, and this is one of the things that I enjoy doing here in the land of Nevermore. This is Moose's Pond, and I think you went swimming in this thing.
Yes, I did.
Morning, did you? It's a great place. And what we're going to do is we are going to feed the fish. And I love doing this, and I bring my puppy out and catch that water there.
Oh, that's them. Oh my God.
Okay, now walk with me.
Let's see if I can get a little closer and see some.
Okay. Okay, come on down.
Well, there are plenty of them in there. Just most of
Come
them.
on down.
Most of them weren't biting.
Just come on down, walk with me. And I enjoy doing this. I try to do it once or twice a week, because Moose, he's not here all the time. Moose and Arlene, they're not here. And they don't need to be fed every single day. They don't need it. Look at them. You got the picture yet? Come on down.
Oh, there's a lot of fish in here.
Just keep it on that water.
Look at this. Well, they're all over the place. Let's take a look here. Oh, there's one that looked like a sunfish.
Well, you'll get the picture here in about a minute.
Oh, that is cool.
Okay, just give it a minute here. Watch these monsters come up from the deep.
I need to try this area.
There they go. Here come the monsters. Look back around that way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, put it right in there. These are my monsters.
What kind of?
These guys are huge.
Oh my God, there it is. Oh,
They love their Uncle Harry.
That's a catfish.
Oh yeah, these are the monsters. This is where the monsters from the deep come up.
Yeah, that is cool. Wow. Yeah, that's the catfish area.
These boys and girls love their Uncle Harry.
Whoa.
Just keep it on that right there. That's going to be the most interesting spot.
It's big. That's where the big ones hang out. That's catfish.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. You got a good fish population in here. probably plenty of insects that fall in there to get to.
And there's going to be algae and undergrowth.
Yeah,
and,
I mean...
and there's going to be fish that die.
Yeah.
There's going to be other animals that get in there and die.
So the catfish, you take care of that. They're like the cleaners. Oh, that water is nice.
Yeah, it is.
The blue.
He's got 3 bales of hay in it. Yeah, now look down there.
What does the hay do? That is... Oh, yeah.
But now you saw it took a minute or two. Took a couple of minutes for them to come up.
Yeah, yeah.
And they just take their time.
I don't know how
Look
deep
at that
it... I don't,
splash.
what is the depth here?
Oh, maybe 4.5, 5 feet.
Oh,
But
5 feet.
Deeper out there.
Okay.
This is closer to the
shallower over
yeah.
there. This is the deeper area.
This the wash here is deeper, yeah. Look at that monster right there.
Right there,
close
there.
to the bank.
Look at that. Oh, yeah. Oh, that is a pretty... He's big.
They're so healthy.
Yeah, they are.
And there's the brims eating in there too. Well, up here they call brim bluegill.
Bluegill, that's right. Look at those two right there.
They're huge.
Yeah, they are
That
big.
guy must be like an 8-10 pounder there.
Yeah, wow.
Check them out. There's hundreds of them in there.
Well, they're definitely prospering in this pond. Oh, that is so...
Okay, now follow me back this way. I like to feed a long range on the shore so that everybody gets to eat, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Here's my 2 helpers. 2 of my helpers here. Hey, boy. Hey, girl. Y'all been helping Daddy with videos tonight?